twins died on the same day. What happened during their funeral will leave you speechless. It was supposed to be a quiet funeral. 2 white coffins, 2 twins, Leila and Liam, gone on the same day. Everyone stood under dark clouds, crying, holding each other, trying to say goodbye. But then, something strange happened. Just as the priest began to speak, 6-year-old Emma, the twins' little cousin, screamed. Her voice cut through the silence like a knife. She pointed at one of the coffins and shouted, "Liam's moving." I saw it. Everyone turned. No one moved. No one breathed. Then came a sound, a soft knock from inside the coffin. People gasped. Some stepped back. Was it real? Were they hearing things? The funeral turned into chaos. Phones dropped. People screamed. And the parents, they ran to the coffin, not knowing what they would find. What happened next will shock you to your core. Stay with Real Life Story to uncover the chilling truth. That knock wasn't the last one, and this funeral was only the beginning of something no one was ready for. Leila and Liam were not just twins, they were best friends. Born only 5 minutes apart, they did everything together. Same school, same clothes, even the same favorite cereal. From the outside, their life looked perfect, a happy family, a cozy home, and 2 kids always smiling. But no one saw what happened behind closed doors. The twins lived with their parents in a quiet neighborhood just outside town. Their mom, Sarah, was a schoolteacher, kind but always tired. Their dad, Mike, worked long hours as a truck driver. He was strict, quiet, and always seemed a little distant, like his mind was somewhere else. Leila was the older one, bold, smart, and always asking questions. Liam was softer, gentle, shy, and always following her lead. They balanced each other. But as they grew older, people started to notice something strange. Liam sometimes talked to people who weren't there. Leila would find him in the middle of the night, sitting by the window, whispering to someone only he could see. When she asked who it was, he'd just smile and say, "You'll meet him soon." Can you imagine the fear of discovering your sibling is haunted by something you can't see? Subscribe to Real Life Story to hear how this eerie mystery unfolds. At first, their parents thought it was just imagination. But the more it happened, the more worried Sarah became. She took Liam to doctors, counselors, even a priest. Everyone gave different answers. Some said it was stress. Others said it was nothing. But Leila felt it, something was wrong. One night, about a month before the funeral, Leila found a journal under Liam's bed. It was full of drawings, dark forests, shadowy figures, a man with no face, and one word written again and again, "Watcher." She showed it to their mom. Sarah got angry, told her to stop scaring her brother, and said it was just stories. But Leila knew Liam wasn't making it up. Something was haunting him. And now, it was starting to haunt her, too. Strange things began happening in the house. Lights flickering. Cold air in the middle of summer. Whispers through the vents. One night, Leila woke up to find Liam standing over her, eyes wide open, completely silent. When she shook him, he didn't wake up. He just whispered, "He's almost here." The next morning, he didn't remember any of it. Leila tried to protect her brother. She stopped talking to friends, stopped going out. All her focus was on Liam, but the closer she got to him, the more she started to feel watched. One evening, Liam disappeared from his room for 3 hours. The front door was locked, windows shut. No one saw him leave. Yet, when he came back, his feet were muddy, and he was smiling. Leila asked where he went. He said, "The watcher showed me the place." "What place?" "You'll see, but not yet." Leila was done pretending it was all in his head. She begged her mom to do something. But Sarah was too stressed, too tired, too scared. Mike, their dad, just told them to stop acting out. He thought they wanted attention. But Leila didn't want attention. She wanted to know the truth. She started doing research, searching for the word watcher. At first, she found nothing. But then, she found an old news article from 1993 about a boy named Caleb who lived in their same neighborhood. He disappeared one night after telling his parents about the man in the trees. The last thing he said, "He's coming for me." No one ever found Caleb. Leila started to believe that whatever haunted Caleb was now after Liam. Then came the night everything changed. It was 2 days before the funeral. Leila heard Liam crying in his room. She rushed in and saw him on the floor, clutching his chest. His skin was pale, his lips blue. She screamed for help. Sarah called 911, but by the time the ambulance came, Liam had stopped breathing. He was gone. The doctors called it a rare seizure. But Leila didn't believe that, not for a second. She didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Leila didn't come down for breakfast. Sarah went to check on her and found her lifeless on the bed. No wounds, no illness, just gone. 2 twins dead in less than 24 hours. The town was shaken. Everyone called it a tragedy. The doctors said Leila died of shock. But behind the scenes, people whispered about curses, about the Watcher, about how the twins saw something they shouldn't have. And so, the funeral was planned, 2 coffins, 1 goodbye. But no one knew the story wasn't over. When Liam knocked from inside the coffin, everything changed, because some secrets don't stay buried. Some doors, once opened, never close again. And whatever came for Leila and Liam wasn't done yet. The sound of the knock from inside Liam's coffin spread through the funeral like wildfire. Some thought it was their imagination. Others believed it was grief playing tricks on them. But not Emma. The little girl stood frozen, staring at the coffin with wide eyes. "I saw him move," she whispered again, her voice shaky but sure. Sarah rushed to the coffin, her hands trembling. "Liam," she said, almost too afraid to speak. No answer, no second knock, just silence. The priest tried to calm everyone down. "It's probably air-trapped inside. It happens sometimes. Let's all stay calm." But no one really was. That night, the family gathered in their home, drained and broken. The twins were supposed to be buried the next morning. Mike sat silently on the couch, staring at the wall. Sarah held Emma close, but her eyes were still locked on the front door, like she was waiting for someone or something to come in. Upstairs, in the twins' bedroom, things were no better. The door creaked open by itself. The lights flickered just once, but enough to send chills down Sarah's spine when she went in to pick up Leila's clothes for the burial. She found something strange. Liam's journal, the same one filled with shadows and the word Watcher, was lying open on the bed. Sarah froze. She remembered putting it in a box in the basement. She picked it up. A new page had been added, a drawing of the church, the 2 coffins, and standing behind them, a tall, dark figure with long arms, no face, and red eyes. It was labeled, "He's still watching." Sarah dropped the journal. Later that night, Sarah heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Thinking it was Emma, she got up to check, but Emma was fast asleep in her room. Still, the footsteps continued. She followed them to the twins' bedroom. When she opened the door, the room was ice cold. A wind from nowhere blew the curtains, even though the windows were shut. Then she saw it on the mirror, written in fog, "She's next." Sarah slammed the door shut. The next day, the funeral home called. "We've had a strange situation," the voice on the phone said. "We can't explain it, but Liam's body moved." Sarah dropped the phone. "What do you mean, moved?" There were scratches on the inside of the lid, and his hands, they were in a different position than yesterday. Mike took the phone. "That's not possible," he said. But even he didn't believe his own words. They delayed the burial by a day, just in case. That evening, Emma began drawing again. She hadn't touched her crayon since the twins died, but now she was suddenly full of energy, smiling, quietly humming a tune Leila used to sing. Sarah looked at the paper. It showed Liam standing in the forest behind their house, holding hands with a dark figure. His eyes were black. "Where did you see this?" Sarah asked, heart racing. Emma shrugged. "He showed me in my dream. He said the Watcher likes the forest. It's quiet there." Mike tried to brush it off. She's just a kid. She misses them. But Sarah knew something was very, very wrong. That night, Sarah stayed awake. She kept the journal beside her. She couldn't explain why, but she felt like the drawings meant something, messages, warnings. Flipping through the pages, she found a date, August 12th, the day before the twins died. Next to it, Liam had written, "Tonight he comes. I will follow." She will too, but not yet. Sarah stared at the words for hours. Then the power went out. The whole house went dark. She lit a candle and checked on Emma, still asleep. Then she walked to the twins' room. The door was open again. Inside, both beds were neatly made, but on Leila's pillow sat a lock of her hair, freshly cut, and a drawing of two trees twisted together, marked the gate. Mike came up behind her. "We need to leave," he said. "This house isn't safe." But it was already too late, because something had already followed them home. Outside, in the backyard, the trees swayed without wind. Deep in the forest, something watched. Mike didn't sleep that night. He sat on the living room couch, gripping a baseball bat, staring at the front door. Every little sound made him flinch, a creak in the wall, the ticking clock, the wind outside. Or was that breathing? Upstairs, Sarah lay wide awake beside Emma, clutching her clothes. Every few minutes, she checked to make sure Emma was still breathing, safe, warm, hers. But somewhere deep in her heart, she knew that whatever took Leila and Liam wasn't finished. The next morning, Sarah made a decision. She wasn't going to wait for something else to happen. She needed answers. She remembered the old newspaper article Leila had found about Caleb, the boy who disappeared in the 90s after talking about the man in the trees. She went to the town library, searching for more. There were barely any records, but one name kept popping up: Eleanor Whitmore, Caleb's grandmother. She used to talk about an old legend, something called the Watcher of the Woods. Sarah found her address. She still lived on the edge of town. That same day, Sarah drove out to see her. Eleanor Whitmore was nearly 90, but sharp and full of fire. When Sarah mentioned Liam and Leila's names, Eleanor's eyes narrowed. "I told people years ago this would happen again," she whispered. "They laughed, called me crazy, but he always returns every 30 years. Sarah leaned in. "Who is he?" Eleanor looked her dead in the eyes. "He's not human. He feeds on fear, on twins, always twins. He follows them from birth, watches them grow. He waits until one breaks and takes them both." Sarah's heart dropped. "So, you're saying my kids were being watched since they were born?" Eleanor nodded slowly. "Once you see him, he's already inside. It starts with dreams, then whispers, then drawings, and finally, the forest calls." Sarah asked, "Is there a way to stop him?" Eleanor shook her head. "There's only one thing he fears: the bond between twins. If one fights, he can't take both." "But they're both gone now," Sarah whispered. Eleanor paused. "Are you sure?" "Back home, strange things got worse. That night, Emma woke up screaming again. 'She's under my bed,' she cried. 'Leila's under there.' Sarah checked, nothing. But Emma wouldn't stop crying. 'She told me not to go near the trees.' Mike finally snapped. 'We're leaving. I don't care what it costs. We're leaving this house tomorrow.' They packed bags that night. But as Mike was loading the car in the garage, something hit him hard. He fell to the floor, dizzy. His ears rang. Something had whispered his name from behind. When Sarah found him, he had a deep cut across his forehead. "There's something in this house," he gasped. She helped him inside. As they sat on the couch, blood still on his face, they heard it. The front door opened on its own. A cold gust blew through the living room. And at that moment, they saw it, just for a second. At the end of the hallway, tall, thin, no face, eyes glowing red. And then, gone. They locked every door and window, called the police. The officers searched the house but found nothing. One of them, Officer Jennings, noticed Liam's journal. He flipped through it. My cousin disappeared in these woods when I was a kid, he said softly. He used to draw the same figure. Sarah grabbed his arm. What happened to him? He vanished. No trace, just like your son. That night, Sarah sat alone in the twins' room. She held the journal, flipping to the last page. It was blank. She sighed, ready to close it. But words began to appear right in front of her eyes. Midnight. The gate. Bring her. Her hands shook. She didn't want to believe it, but deep down, she knew it was real. The gate. The trees twisted together in Liam's drawing. At 11:45 p.m., Sarah put on her coat. She kissed Emma on the forehead and whispered, "I'll protect you." Then she stepped into the woods behind their home, alone. The forest was dark, but she followed the path her children used to play on. The trail bent left, then right, and then she saw them, two giant trees, their trunks tangled together like arms wrapped around each other. The gate. Sarah stepped closer. Then, behind her, footsteps. She turned around. It was Emma. I followed you, she said, rubbing her eyes. Leila told me to. Sarah panicked. Emma, no, you can't be here. But it was too late. From the shadows, he stepped out, the watcher, tall, silent, his red eyes glowing like fire. Emma grabbed Sarah's hand. He wants me now, she whispered. Because Leila fought back. The watcher raised one long finger and pointed to Emma. Sarah stood in front of her. You can't have her. But the watcher smiled, and everything went dark. Sarah's scream echoed through the empty motel hallway. Emma, she cried, banging on doors, running through the parking lot, yelling her daughter's name. The sun was rising, but it didn't feel like morning. The sky was red, the air heavy. And Emma was gone, vanished in the middle of the night. No one saw anything. No broken windows, no open doors. She had disappeared like smoke. Mike checked the front desk camera footage. Nothing. Emma's bed was empty by 3:03 a.m. No signs of struggle, no signs of escape. It was like she had just melted into thin air. Sarah collapsed on the motel room floor, holding the last thing Emma had touched, a crayon drawing left on the pillow. The picture showed Emma standing under the twisted forest gate, hand in hand with the watcher, his long black fingers wrapped around her tiny ones. The drawing wasn't just creepy, it was real. And under it, in shaky red crayon, were the words, "You have until sunset." Sarah's breath caught in her chest. She flipped the paper over, and there it was, a map drawn in a child's hand, but clear, trees, a narrow path, a marked X deep inside the woods behind their old house. It's a trap, Mike said, reading over her shoulder. It wants us to come. It wants you to choose. Sarah stared at the map. Her heart was already screaming the answer. I don't care, she said. We're going. By afternoon, the car skidded to a stop at the edge of the forest. Sarah stepped out first, the wind brushing her face. The air smelled like rain, but it hadn't rained. The forest ahead looked darker than usual, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. Mike touched her shoulder. I'm coming with you. She nodded. They didn't speak again. They just walked. Every step into the woods felt heavier than the last, like something was pulling at their legs. The trees whispered as they passed. No animals, no bugs, just dead silence. After 30 minutes of walking, the trees opened into a clearing. And there it was, the gate. Twisted trees formed an arch in the middle of the forest. Thick fog swirled beneath it like smoke in a glass bowl. And standing just beyond the gate was Liam. Sarah gasped. He looked the same, but he wasn't. His skin was pale. His eyes were pitch black. He didn't blink. Why did you leave me, Mom? Liam asked, voice flat and cold. Sarah stepped forward. I didn't, baby. You were taken from me. She left, too, Liam added and pointed to the fog. Another figure stepped out. Leila. She glowed softly, like a candle in the dark. Her face was kind but sad. "Mom," Leila whispered. "You have to choose." Sarah shook her head. "No, I'm not choosing anyone. I'm taking Emma back, and we're leaving all of us." The fog thickened. A tall, shadowy figure stepped forward. The Watcher. It towered over them, faceless, with arms that dragged across the forest floor. It didn't speak, but Sarah could hear it inside her head: one stays, one goes. Then it raised a long arm and pointed at the ground. A trapdoor opened in the dirt, a wooden door, black hinges, slowly creaking open on its own. From the darkness inside, a low hum came, almost like breathing. Sarah's knees went weak. Mike tried to move forward, but a blast of wind hit him square in the chest, knocking him back against a tree. He collapsed, groaning. The Watcher pointed again. "Choose." Behind them, the fog parted. And there she was, Emma. Her hair was messy. Her face was pale, but she was alive. She ran toward Sarah, arms out. "Mom!" Sarah caught her in a tight hug, crying uncontrollably. "You found me," Sarah whispered. Emma nodded. "Leila helped me. She told me to follow the light. She showed me the way." Sarah turned and saw Leila standing near the trapdoor. Her eyes glistened. "I'll go," Leila said softly. "It's okay." Sarah shook her head, holding Emma tightly. "No, you're just a child. You've already given enough." Leila smiled gently, her glowing face calm. "I'm not afraid anymore, Mom. I know what I have to do." The Watcher loomed behind her, its long arms still outstretched. Its face was empty, but somehow Sarah could feel its hunger, its want. Liam stood beside Leila, eyes still black, but his hand slowly reached for hers. "If we both go," he said in a soft voice, "it ends." "What ends?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling. "This curse," Leila said. "This gate, this darkness, it doesn't just want one of us. It feeds on pain, on fear, on broken families. But if we give ourselves together, it has nothing left to take." Sarah dropped to her knees. "I can't lose you again. Please, please come back." Leila stepped closer, knelt in front of her mother, and wiped away a tear. "You never really lost us. We were just waiting to help you see." Emma clutched her mom's arm, crying. "Don't let her go, Mom. Don't let her." But Leila leaned in and kissed Emma on the forehead. "Be brave. You're stronger than you think." Then she turned to Liam. They both nodded. And hand in hand, they walked to the edge of the trapdoor. The wind howled louder. The Watcher growled, its shadow growing taller, darker, deeper. It didn't like this. It wanted control. It wanted a choice. But the twins weren't giving it one. As Leila and Liam stepped into the dark hole, a white light burst from below, not cold, not scary, but warm, peaceful. The Watcher screamed, a high, twisting sound that cracked the trees and sent birds flying from miles away. It turned its head to the sky and let out a final, furious roar. Then it crumbled, like smoke pulled by the wind. The fog cleared. The gate vanished. The forest grew silent again, but this time, not the dead kind of silent, the peaceful kind. Sarah sat there, hugging Emma, shaking and crying. Mike, bruised and barely standing, limped toward them and knelt down beside them. "They're gone," Sarah whispered. "They saved us." Mike didn't say anything. He just nodded, eyes full of tears. The earth where the door had been was now just solid ground. Grass was already growing over it. But in that spot where the twins had stood, 2 wildflowers had bloomed, one white, one blue, Leila's favorite colors. They walked out of the forest slowly. The air was fresh. The sky above them was completely clear, not a single cloud. It felt like the world had started over. That night at home, Emma placed the last drawing she'd made on her nightstand. It showed Leila and Liam standing in a bright field, holding hands, smiling. "They're okay now," she said softly. Sarah tucked her in, kissed her cheek, and smiled. "I know they are." Then she turned out the light. And for the first time in weeks, the house was quiet, no knocks, no whispers, no fear, just peace. Weeks passed after the night in the forest. The pain didn't disappear, but the fear did. Sarah often woke up expecting the fog, the knocking, the nightmares, but the house stayed still, quiet, and warm. It took time, but she slowly began to believe it really was over. Emma was doing better, too. She smiled again, laughed at cartoons, drew happy pictures, ones with sunshine and flowers, not shadows and gates. But every now and then, she'd pause in the middle of coloring, stare out the window, and whisper, "Thank you, Leila. Thank you, Liam." Sarah never stopped her. She knew they were still watching. Sarah started journaling again. She wrote about the things that happened, not just to remember, but to let go. She wrote about the guilt, the fear, and the moment she realized her children had become heroes. Real heroes. They didn't just save Emma, they saved her, too. Mike was quieter now, softer. He hugged more, yelled less, and took more time off work. He told Sarah one night, while holding her hand, "I never believed in things like that before, but now I believe in them." Sarah smiled. "Me, too." They planted a tree in the backyard, a tall, strong one. Beneath it, a small stone read, "For Leila and Liam." Emma helped water it every morning. She said it was their way of saying good morning to the sky. And sometimes, the petals of the tree would glow in the moonlight, just a little, just enough to make Sarah believe. But not everything was perfect. Some nights, Emma would still wake up crying. Some drawings still had shadows. The memory of the watcher was fading, but not gone. One night, Sarah sat beside Emma in bed. "Are you scared again?" Emma nodded. "What if he comes back?" Sarah took her hand. "Then we'll face him together, and we won't run this time." Emma smiled. "Because we're stronger now." "Yes," Sarah whispered. "Because we remember who we are." And out in the woods, far from town, the wind moved gently through the trees. There were no gates, no fog, just silence. But if you listened closely, you could hear laughter, two children running free forever. Months had passed. The house was quiet now, not because of fear, but because of peace. Sarah had changed. She no longer rushed through life. She listened more, hugged longer, smiled more often. She had faced something no mother should and survived. But more than anything, she had learned to believe in things she couldn't see: love, sacrifice, and the kind of strength that lives in silence. Emma still talked about Leila and Liam, but not with sadness anymore. She talked like they were nearby, watching, protecting, guiding. One afternoon, while drawing in the garden, Emma looked up and said, "They're proud of us." Sarah knelt beside her. "How do you know?" Emma smiled. "Because the wind said so." And just then, a breeze passed softly through the trees. The leaves shimmered, and for a moment, the world felt full of light. Some people might call it imagination. Others might say it was just a story. But Sarah knew the truth. Some bonds are too strong for death. Some love is too bright to fade, and some endings are really just new beginnings. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Real Life Story for more powerful true stories like this. Because sometimes, the most unbelievable stories are the ones that actually happened. Twins died on the same day. What happened during their funeral will leave you speechless. It was supposed to be a quiet funeral. 2 white coffins, 2 twins, Leila and Liam, gone on the same day. Everyone stood under dark clouds, crying, holding each other, trying to say goodbye. But then, something strange happened. Just as the priest began to speak, 6-year-old Emma, the twins' little cousin, screamed. Her voice cut through the silence like a knife. She pointed at one of the coffins and shouted, "Liam's moving." I saw it. Everyone turned. No one moved. No one breathed. Then came a sound, a soft knock from inside the coffin. People gasped. Some stepped back. Was it real? Were they hearing things? The funeral turned into chaos. Phones dropped. People screamed. And the parents, they ran to the coffin, not knowing what they would find. What happened next will shock you to your core. Stay with Real Life Story to uncover the chilling truth. That knock wasn't the last one, and this funeral was only the beginning of something no one was ready for. Leila and Liam were not just twins, they were best friends. Born only 5 minutes apart, they did everything together. Same